Welcome to Irons United, and a quick special on the first pre-season friendly that we played today against Altach of the Austrian Bundesliga. The game was played this afternoon. We're putting this out quite late, so we're sorry about that, but I'm sure you've seen other reports as well. But we're just giving you Irons United's take on the game itself. It was a typical pre-season friendly. It was, nothing really much to report on. It's a good run out for the lads. Um, Pellegrini put out two almost completely different teams in each half. In the first half, in goal was Roberto. In defence was Fredericks, Diop, Ogbonna, and Ben Johnson playing as a left back. In midfield, we had Sanchez, Noble, Lanzini, and Snodgrass, with Anderson and Antonio playing like a striker. In the first half, it was pretty comfortable. The game sort of flowed quite freely. We got our first goal from our first corner that Snodgrass took, and Ben and Sanchez scored the goal, making it 1-0. And then almost immediately, Sanchez did what he did against Wolves in the Premier League last season, where he lost the ball in midfield, and it almost resulted in a goal with Ogbonna just managing to scrape the ball off the line. It kind of shook us up a little bit, but we then sort of composed ourselves. Sanchez actually went on to have quite a decent game after that. And then we got a second goal when there was a long ball from defence, went out to Antonio, who his strength beat the goalie. He rounded the goalie to make it 2-0. But then before half time, they pulled one back. Not great defending from us, bit lapsy-daisical, and we sort of let them back into the game. But the players did okay. A few standout players in the first half, specifically Diop and Ogbonna in the centre of defence. Ben Johnson, out of position, but proving again what a great talent he is in playing as a left back. And ironically, after his initial faux pas, Sanchez composed himself and was quite a decent player in midfield after that. So the second half kicked off. There was one other thing that I quickly mentioned in the first half. Lanzini got the ball and was running forward. He was skied down really badly. I mean, he wasn't hurt or anything, but it was kind of one of those tackles where you thought, oh my God, he's going to be out injured before he even starts the season. Thankfully, he got up, he carried on, but it was quite a bad challenge. Okay, so the second half started. Martin was in goal. Zabaleta, Reed, Diop, and Johnson were in defence. So Johnson stayed, and Diop stayed in their positions. It was good to see Reed coming back after so long out injured. In midfield, Obiang, Wiltshire stayed in his position. Cullen and Yarmolenko and Diangana were in, and then Hernandez came in as our striker. Not a lot to sort of talk about. It was decent. Yarmolenko showed some good touches. Wiltshire just showed decent touches throughout the whole game. And they got their second goal when Wiltshire tried a ball to Diangana. Diangana didn't reach it, which let them break through, and it was 2-2. But then we got Wiltshire got a beautiful ball across into the penalty area, where Diop scored with a cracking header, which made it 3-2. And then we had a couple of subs. Rice came on and Sam Byron came on. Now, interestingly, again, the players that stood out were Diop again, Johnson again, Obiang, interestingly, stood out, and Wiltshire again. I mean, in fact, Wiltshire was man of the match. He was so composed. He looked like he was really up for it. It was fantastic to see. I said in my show at the weekends that a fully fit Wiltshire is going to be a real asset for us. And if he carries on, if he stays fit, and if he carries on the way he seems to have done with the first game of pre-season, then who knows? Who knows? He's an absolute talent, that guy. But the other interesting point was Sam Byram. He came on and he showed some excellent football. And it's quite intriguing because we kind of think that Sam Byram's time is done at West Ham, but yeah, he played really well. I've no doubt that Pellegrini's probably thinking, hang on a second, this guy has done decent, and there's an awful lot of places for the right back slot, but we've also got to think that Sam Byram can also play further up the field as well. He can play right mid, and even though there's competition there as well, it could actually mean that there'll be some. He can affect the team if he's played at right midfield. That means the likes of Yarmolenko and so on can sort of move further in. As a striker. So it's food for thought for Pellegrini, and I think it's good. It's good that he saw something a little bit different to sort of make him start thinking about, who he might want to look at a little bit more. Cullen played well. Cullen was decent. Certainly worth another look. Ben Johnson, cracking. It's really good to see some of these youngsters beginning to put in shifts, because it starts to make Pellegrini realise that perhaps there might be a little bit more strength in depth than originally thought. So it's all good. We move on. The team are now off to China. I know the team are now down to 23 players. There are 2 places open, which one is guessing is probably going to be for new signings, but one never knows. Someone like Byron may have forced his way into the 25 squad that's going to China. You just don't know. Anyway, subscribe. Tell us what you think. If you managed to watch the game, let me know. What did you think of my analysis of some of the players? Do you think anyone else needed a shout out? What do you think? Do you think that the players that I mentioned, like Sanchez, Wiltshire, etc., were as good as I suggested? Anyway, subscribe to the channel. Leave your thoughts. Do the thumbs up and all that sort of stuff. And is a lot better at all that stuff than I am. And we'll see you again soon. And come on, you irons.